What's up, everybody? It's Devin from Head Up, Throttle Down. As you can see, this is definitely not my Canam Defender. I'm sitting in a brand new 2024 Canam Maverick X3 Turbo RS. Yeah, that is a mouthful. But my good friend Will had to go to town and he had just taken delivery of this beautiful side-by-side. And as you know, normal friends do, he's like, hey, would you like to borrow my extremely expensive brand new side-by-side so you can do a review for your channel? Obviously, super cool friend, great guy, and I tried my best to not do any damage to it. On that note, if you guys are into kind of like mad scientists, super crazy, mechanical builds, you really should go over and check out his channel, The Unnamed Project. He is one of the most talented, kind of self-taught mechanics I've ever seen in my entire life. He's helped me a ton work on my own machines and do some pretty crazy builds. And I think you guys are gonna love the kind of stuff he builds on his channel. But enough said, let's get into the review. Obviously, this is my friend's brand new machine. It's still in the break-in period and the snow is extremely deep. So I wasn't able to push this thing anywhere close to what the true limits of its capabilities are. So I think we can all agree that Polaris really stepped up the side-by-side game and opened up a completely new chapter on performance side-by-sides when they introduced the Razor. It wasn't until Canam introduced the X3, or at least in my very humble opinion, that they successfully surpassed Polaris as the coolest pure sport side-by-side on the market. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of amazing rigs out there. I am and was a huge fan of the initial offering of the Yamaha XYZ when it came in with a manual transmission. And I think the Kawasaki Teryx KRX is an incredible machine as well, with tremendous value. But I remember the first time I ever saw an X3 in person, walking into a dealership sometime in 2016, I believe, and looking at the first year production of the X3 in this gorgeous midnight black color scheme. The X3 looked like something Batman would drive. Fast forward to today, when I actually could have afforded one of these machines, I was forced to go with something a little more utilitarian, hence why I bought the Defender. But after spending some time finally behind the wheel of one of these side-by-sides, I have wanted for so long. Don't be surprised if one of these winds up in my garage. 135 horsepower, was incredibly responsive, and whether it was extremely cold and dense air being forced into the engine on this frigid Canadian winter day, the engine seemed to access this power band early and fast, with no noticeable kicking of a turbo finally spooling up to increase power. While the tires that come standard on the machine are nice, they are in no way designed to handle this type of cold weather. And even though the rock-hard compound found trouble finding traction on the frozen ground, the engine and transmission had little trouble pushing those 30-inch tires fast enough to keep the treads clean and power through some pretty deep snow. One of the things that Canam really has done right with the Maverick X3 lineup is offering so many trims. While the ever-present price creep of power sports vehicles, it seems incredible to me that you can get into an X3 for under 28,000 Canadian. When even the most basic of side-by-sides usually start around the 21 to 24K mark, the allure to buy a bare-bones X3 and build it as you ride seems like a pretty tempting offering. Even this machine, which is the Max RS version, can be found for just around 30K Canadian with proper incentives. After off-roading so long in the cab-over-like seating position of the Defender, I thought that the seating position in the Maverick might feel cramped and restrict sightlines. Boy, was I mistaken. Absolutely, it is low-slung, but the sightlines are still great and the seating position actually makes you feel secure, comfortable, and really attuned to what the machine is telling you. The other thing that I was surprised with is how good the suspension was. While I am a huge fan of Fox shocks and high-quality suspension components, I believe that the budget-friendly Showa shocks, combined with the extremely well-engineered AA-arm suspension design, will give most riders everything they need to have an incredible time on the trails. The combination of the RS's incredible suspension geometry and wide track will allow most riders to actually use all 135 horsepower that this machine puts out, once they become comfortable with the platform. The new Smart Lock is a huge upgrade from the Visco lock of previous generations of Canam products. One, I feel like it locks up on its own way better than my Visco locker does. And simply being able to force it to lock when you want it to solves pretty much any issues that you would have with like limited slips or an automatic e-locker that can arise when the machine doesn't perform exactly the way you want it to. Now, I won't talk about this next part too much, but I also found the dynamic power steering adjustability to be quite a useful tool. While in deep snow and fighting ruts that I couldn't see beneath the frozen landscape, the ability to crank it up to have an easier time forcing the machine into the lines I wanted to take was quite incredible. Then being able to turn it back down for when you find yourself on clear terrain and you want to feel that feedback from the steering wheel to help you read the terrain better. So that's it, guys. That's my really basic initial impression of the vehicle. In a nutshell, I definitely see the potential and the allure of owning one of these machines. I will give you an even more in-depth analysis of its capabilities once I've spent some considerable time behind the wheel, and I really hope you guys are as excited as I am to see what this thing can do in the snow when set up on Apache backcountry tracks. Until next time, keep your head up and that throttle down.